I was one of the people that was lucky enough to get tickets to the Batman fan experience, so I just saw it on March 1st. So I'm happy to report that the Batman is actually really good and it's worth seeing. This is going to be no spoilers. I won't spoil anything in this review. I'll probably do a spoiler review maybe this weekend, but no spoilers, so you don't gotta worry about that if you have not seen it. But I would say it's definitely worth seeing. It's a good movie. So let's talk about what I can talk about without spoiling anything. One of the things I love that this movie did that other comic book movies should take advantage of but don't is that Bruce has an inner monologue. It's not constant. I do wish they would use it a little bit more, but they do use it a bit. It's nice having an inner monologue because that's something that adds so much to the comics. And the comics are always in the character's head because there's always a thought bubble or a box or something that you can read what they're thinking in their head. It's really nice. And in this we get some of that. It's nice. You can, like, Bruce is telling you what he's thinking and it's like, yes, this is great. It adds so much to the character and like bonds you with them so much more so you can know what they're thinking instead of just they're making a facial expression, guess what they're thinking in this moment in time. Like, it's nice knowing like what they're thinking at this moment. I really like that, and I hope more comic movies take advantage of that. I thought that was brilliant of Matt Reeves to do that because that adds so much to the comics, but rarely do comic movies use that. So I thought that was a nice little aspect to the movie. The characters in this are all pretty good. I really liked Batman. Now, Bruce Wayne in this is kind of a low point for me. It didn't ruin the movie or anything like that, but Batman has done very well. This is year 2, so the second year being Batman. But Bruce Wayne, he acts the exact same when he's Bruce Wayne as he does when he's Batman. Like, if you spend any amount of time with Batman and Bruce Wayne, you would really easily be able to tell they are the same person. Like, he does not act different at all. Like, when he's Batman, he's very slow. He has very slow movements. He stares. He's analyzing. When he's Bruce, he's doing the same exact thing. Like, he's very slow movement-wise. He's, like, very particular with his movement, like how he moves his head and everything. He stares. It's like, that part I was kind of like, oh, man. You think year 2 Bruce would kind of figure out that he needs to make Bruce a little different than Batman. But still not, like, a huge complaint. It's just, like, I kind of wish... I'm assuming later on in the series we'll get more of the Playboy Bruce. But in this, Bruce has no charisma whatsoever and acts the exact same as Batman. It's almost like he's not even trying to hide that he's Batman. So that was a little odd. That was one of my few complaints of this movie. But Batman's done very well, and he's really cool seeing like how he goes about things. He's actually a detective in this movie. That's something that this movie does better than any of the other live action Batman movies, is he is actually trying to solve things. And he doesn't get everything right as well. Like the Riddler does stump him at some points. It's nice to see that. It's nice to see that Batman just doesn't have the answers to everything. And it's also really well done how he works with Gordon and Catwoman in this movie. They have a great relationship, Batman's relationship with both of them. And I like seeing him work with them. And like Gordon's not just a tool he uses. Gordon's actually like a partner that helps him. And Gordon was done really well in this movie. Alfred's great, but Alfred's not in it that much. I do wish that they would have had Alfred in just a little more. But it's cool seeing Alfred also try to help him. Like, Alfred tries to help him, like, solve some of the riddles and stuff. So that was cool seeing Alfred partake in it. Alfred also does, while he's not in it much, he does feel a little bit like, Earth 1 Alfred. He's even got the cane and everything, and he's got like the facial hair like Earth 1 Alfred, so he feels a little inspired by Earth 1 Alfred. This movie pulls from a lot of different Batman comics. I know leading up to it, Matt Reeves was talking about Batman Ego a lot, but honestly there's not much pulled from Batman Ego, at least for how I interpret it. Like, it didn't really feel like they pulled from Ego that much at all, besides like one part. For the most part, they borrowed a lot from Long Halloween. They borrowed a lot from the Earth 1 series, from Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's Batman Earth 1 series, a little from Year 1, but yeah, so they pulled from a lot of the great Batman stories. Catwoman was done really well. I liked her a lot, and she had very clear motivations. Like, there was no like cloudiness to why Catwoman was doing what she was doing, so I liked that. And yeah, so the main characters in the movie were really good. Riddler was good. There's only one aspect to Riddler I didn't really like, which I won't say because it's kind of a spoiler, so I won't say the thing I didn't like about Riddler. But for the most part, I did like Riddler. But he's not that much of a villain that's like present, because he's always kind of like hidden in the shadows and everything. And there is a part of the movie where they kind of like just put Riddler to the side to focus on like a mob aspect of the movie. They're like, we're gonna put Riddler to the side, focused on more like the mob aspect, and then we'll resume this thing with Riddler, because this is a long ass movie. It's like almost 3 hours. I think it was 2 hours 55 minutes, so they can do that. They have the time to do that. It doesn't, like, it's a really long movie. It's paced pretty well. It is a little slow, but it's not, I wouldn't say the pacing's bad. It's not quite as good as like Dark Knight's pacing, where I just rewatched Dark Knight a few months ago, And man, that movie hooks you from the beginning, and you are just there along for the ride from the start to the finish. Like, you're always like, man, I'm waiting for something next to happen. Where this movie, the pacing is good, but is a little slow. So be aware that it is almost 3 hours long, but I was happy to sit there for all 3 hours. Gotham is the best Gotham we've ever had. Gotham looks great. It doesn't feel like a city you've been to. That's what I love about it. It feels like Gotham. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is just Chicago, or oh, this is just Pittsburgh. It feels like an actual city, and I thought that was really cool. One of the low points of the movie, though, is the action. It's not bad. It's good, but when you've been spoiled by the warehouse scene from Batman v Superman, oh man, like, the action in this movie doesn't even come close to comparing. It's kind of like, it's a bit better than the hand-to-hand combat in the Nolan movies. It's honestly not that much better, in my opinion, than the hand-to-hand combat in, like, Dark Knight. It's not anything to write home about, but it's not bad either. Like, there's nothing to complain about. It's just, as when you've been spoiled by that scene, when you've watched the warehouse scenes many times as I have, and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to see what they do in the Batman movie in 2022, and it's like, oh, it looks kind of like Nolan action. Again, it's not bad, it's just a little disappointing, but I'll take a movie as good as this movie with action as lackluster as it had, instead of a horrible movie like Batman v Superman with a great action scene like the warehouse scene. So I'll take that trade-off, but I do hope in, like, the sequels we get some better hand-to-hand combat. Again, I'm not complaining about the hand-to-hand combat. It's not bad. It's just, it's not as great as I wanted it to be. But this isn't really an action movie. It's more of like a noir sort of detective movie. But that being said, there are several action scenes in it, so I'd hope maybe in the future they can do a little better with those. The one scene from the trailer where it's pitch black and every time they shoot, the muzzle flash provides all of the lighting. That scene was really cool, though. That was a cool action scene. But for the most part, the action's, like, good. But it's like, one of the ways I judge action scenes is I think, will I ever YouTube this? Like, that's how I judge if an action scene's really good. Like, is it so good that it'll just hit me and I'll be like, I want to watch this one. I just want to watch this specific scene back, and I'll just go to YouTube and search it. I've done that for a bunch of different action scenes. For this, there wasn't really any action scene where I was like, I'd watch that. There's a bunch of other scenes I would, but not action-related wise. My favorite scene in the movie was the scene from the trailer where Batman is talking to Riddler when he's in Arkham. You know, that scene, it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, where he goes, like, what have you done? And he, like, slams the glass. That scene is amazing, and that's probably my favorite part of the entire movie. Because some realizations happen, and it's really cool seeing Batman and Riddler talk during that. It was really cool. I thought that was done really well. I liked Penguin. I thought Colin Farrell did a fantastic job as Penguin. Like, if he was not billed as Penguin, you would not know he's Penguin. His voice, the way he looks, it's insane that Colin Farrell is playing Penguin. Like, he does such a good job. And he does a great job just playing Oswald Cobblepot. And, going back to talking about Gotham, like, the world of Gotham is portrayed beautifully here. Not just the way it looks in terms of, oh, it looks like Gotham City, but how the crime and everything works, and, like, how the club scene in Gotham, like, everything's just really cool. It's, like, done so well. And something that also is really cool is this happens in the beginning of the movie. They show how, like, fear affects criminals in Gotham, like how Batman's had an effect in Gotham by year 2. Like, they show people just committing, like, low-level crimes, and then the bat signal happens, and then these people are committing these low-level crimes, like they steal from the store, or they're, like, defacing a place, like spray painting or something. Suddenly they look into the darkness, there's, like, shadows, and they're paranoid, thinking, oh no, Batman's probably here, and they stop doing what they're doing, they run away. I thought that was really cool, seeing, like, even when Batman's not even there, not even aware of those crimes happening, his fear, what he's done, has an effect on the criminals in Gotham. I thought that was done really well in this movie. I love that little scene. It happens very early in the movie. But yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much all I can talk about for non-spoilers. Stay tuned for the spoiler review, which I'll do later on. But overall, I enjoyed it. I'd say it's my third favorite Batman movie behind Dark Knight, Under the Red Hood. But again, I've only seen this movie once. But at the time of this recording, I've only seen it once, to where I've seen those movies a ton of times. So who knows, maybe it'll move up. But I really enjoyed it. It's a good movie. Definitely go see it if you're interested. And let me know in the comments below what you guys think about it. Hope you guys, if you've seen it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I'll see you later.
Skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, you know I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.